Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm calling the Committee on Facilities and Capital Planning to order. I declare there is a quorum of committee members present and note that the media has been given proper notice pursuant to the Freedom of Information Act. The first agenda item on tonight's committee meeting is the football field surface maintenance. Mr. Thomas, you are recognized.
Good evening, Mr. Chair and members of the board. Tonight, I'd like to bring for your approval, every year we have fields that get worn out due to after football season and then soccer, and soccer just wears them down. So this is nothing new. We've done this year after year. So we'd like to get y'all's permission tonight to go to Berkeley High School, Cane Bay High School, Goose Creek High School, Hanahan High School, and Stratford High School, and cut out and remove the necessary areas and resod, and this will pertain to the athletic football stadium fields and practice football fields. The total amount that we're looking at to do this will be $34,720, and we're looking at, right now we have quotes from Sodbusters on handling this, but we're going to be handling this through procurement as well, and then I think Ms. Smith later in her presentation is going to bring as far as where the funds will come from for this.
Thank you. I'd like to make a motion to approve 5 athletic field surface maintenance projects as presented. Is there a second?
Second.
So moved. Second.
Got a motion and a second by Ms. Kelly. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The second agenda item is district attendance line. Superintendent Ingram, you are recognized.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair, and want to point out that Mr. Jackson is at the county council meeting presenting the very same thing tonight. Of course, you're the body that votes on this, but as you know, if we could bring up the map, please. Thank you. Recently, the Berkeley County attendance line, I'm so glad I get to use my new toy. I bought it several months ago. It's a green light. The county line has moved. This is the old line. If I'm following it correctly, I practiced a little bit to try to follow it down. That's where Berkeley County used to be, and now we have taken in part of Dorchester County, and we've had to adjust our attendance lines. We did it by property lines, okay? So we didn't do this was just a flat out straight line up here, and then we just went by whatever property line we had. And Joe Pye and Morris Ravenel and I have been in discussion about this over a year. Mr. Jackson recently got the numbers. This affects a total of 49 students. So if we go to the next slide, please, or the next little thing. There we go. 49 students across 7 schools. And DD4, there would be 2 that would be eligible to go to Cane Bay Elementary, just 1 to Cane Bay Middle, a total of 18 to Cane Bay High, 11 to Cross Elementary, where we've got lots of room there, only 2 at Cross High School, 14 at Nexton, 2 at what's that? Secondary Middle, right? And I've got the grade breakdown. I don't have it for presentation on the screen, but if the 18 number concerns you, for total high school students, 7 are in the 9th grade, 10 are in the 5th grade, 2 are in the 11th, 4 in the 12th, for a total of 49. Nexton would be a potential problem if all 14 were in the same grade, but they're not. We've got 2 kindergartners, 2 first grade, 4 second, 7 third, 6 fourth, 3 in 5th grade, 2 in 6th grade. I mean, the numbers are just all below 10. In fact, we all agreed that it wouldn't be worth any money transfer as far as us sending money to them. They're saying we'll just take these kids, and they're going to grandfather just like you did with the attendance line. So if the kids want to stay in Dorchester, that's where their homes are, that's what they're used to, if they can provide their transportation. So I would anticipate fewer than 49 coming to us anyway. especially the high school kids, because most of the high school kids are going to want to stay where they're going to high school now. So you would have to approve these new attendance lines, but if you want to go back to that really quick, Kim, I just wanted to explain the logic behind it. If I can get my light, there we go. We just went by property lines, so we didn't cut across anybody's property, and this one was a lot easier. There is a small apartment complex down in this area here, but we already send a bus down there anyway, and we're not even sure if there are any kids in that complex. So I recommend that you would approve this because we think, quite frankly, it's really a non-issue for our enrollment and growth. It's so small and it's spread out over 7 schools. And we're keeping parents happy by giving them the option of staying where they are, or the Dorchester schools are.
I'd like to make a motion to approve first reading of the adjustment to the attendance lines as presented with changes to take effect for the 2019-2020 school year. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. At this time, I will adjourn my meeting so that the Committee on Finance and Human Resources may begin.
I'm calling the Committee on Finance and Human Resources to order. I declare there is a quorum of committee members present and note that the media has been given proper notice pursuant to the Freedom of Information Act. Our first agenda item is first reading to adopt policy GBCP, electronic timekeeping. Dr. Karen Whitley, you are recognized.
Good evening, Chairman Ramsey, Superintendent Ingram, and board members. We are asking for first reading approval to adopt policy GBCB, electronic timekeeping. Time clocks are being installed in all Berkeley County School District facilities. There is an opportunity for all employees to now clock in as part of the implementation for the Cronus system. As of July 1st, it will be mandatory for all employees to clock in and out. The procedures in this policy have been established to ensure accurate record keeping and compliance within the district and is mandated by the Department of Labor. Are there any questions?
I move to approve the first reading to adopt policy GBCB, electronic timekeeping.
Second.
We will now call the question. All those in favor respond by saying aye.
Aye.
It is approved by a vote of 3-0. Our second agenda item is...
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Whitley. Our second agenda item is reallocation of the 2018-2019 capital budget. Ashley Smith, you're recognized.
Thank you. Good evening, Chairman Ramsey, Dr. Ingram, and members of the board. In the district's 18-19 capital budget, which was approved in October of 2018, there is an allocation of $500,000 for custodial equipment. After speaking with Mr. Thomas, we can allocate $34,720 of this allocation to pay for athletic field maintenance requests as presented by the Facilities and Capital Planning Committee. Administration is requesting a motion to reallocate $34,720 of custodial equipment funds to an account to pay for athletic field maintenance.
Do we have a motion?
I so move.
Second. We would now call the question. All those in favor respond by saying aye.
Aye.
It is approved by a vote of 3-0. Our third agenda item is 2018-2019 supply fund balances. Ashley Smith, you're recognized again.
Thank you. Administration is requesting a motion to allow principals and department heads the ability to utilize the 18-19 remaining balance in each location's supply accounts in the first 60 days of 19-20 school year. If approved, principals and department heads will be reminded to review ending balances and take into consideration any unposted and pending transactions to keep from overspending.
I move to grant principals the authority to spend the 2018-2019 available balance as of June 30, 2019 in the general fund supply accounts in the first 60 days of the 2019-2020 fiscal year.
Second.
We will now call the question. All those in favor respond by saying aye. Aye. It is approved by a vote of 3-0. Thank you, Ms. Smith.
Thank you.
At this time, we will entertain a motion to adjourn so the regular board meeting can begin.
So move.
Second. All those in favor of adjourning, respond by saying aye.
Aye.
We are now adjourned.
I forgot to formally take a vote to adjourn my meeting, so I'll make a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
We got a motion and a second. All in favor, aye? Aye. All right, we're adjourned too.
Phew, everybody's adjourned. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Berkeley County Board of Education meeting this Tuesday, May 28th, 2019. I call this meeting to order. I declare a quorum is present and the media has been notified. I'll now entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. McQuillan, a second by Ms. Littleton to approve the agenda. I would like to state that we're on a very tight time schedule. If we're not ready to conclude executive session at 6:30, we'll recess executive session and come out and finish the meeting, and then go back to into executive session if that's necessary. But we've got some legacy builders coming in with lots of stuff going on. We don't want to make people late. If there's no other discussion, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. We'll now entertain a motion to approve the minutes for the board meeting May 14th, 2019.
So
Make the
moved.
motion.
Or second.
There's a motion by Mr. Ramsey, a second by Mr. McQuillan. To approve the minutes for May 14th, 2019, is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. We'll now move on to item D, election of board officers.
Madam Chairwoman, at this time, I'd like to make a motion to nominate a slate of officers, the slate being Michael Ramsey as secretary, myself, Mac McQuillan, as vice chair, and Sally Walford as chair.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. We'll now entertain a motion to enter into executive session.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. McQuillan, a second by Ms. Conder. To enter into executive session, the stated purpose of executive session is the discussion of pending employment matters, student attendance appeals, and expulsion appeals, and we are hearing 11 student attendance appeals and 5 student expulsion appeals. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. We're in executive session. I'll now entertain a motion to return to regular session.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. McQuillan, a second by Ms. Conder. I'd like to state for the record that no action was taken in executive session. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Now please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I'd like to invite Ms. Katie Tanner to the podium for Legacy Builders and special recognition.
Good evening, Chair Wofford, Superintendent Ingram, members of the board, and all of you who have joined us here tonight. It is my honor to recognize or help us recognize the Legacy Builders for this month. We're going to have a couple changes, so we're going to start actually with a group of students who have had some dominant performances this year. With us tonight is the Cane Bay members of the Cane Bay Cobra Chorale and the Ladies Honors Choir. Come on, guys. They are led by Mr. William Bennett, and were recently named the grand champion of the Palmetto State Choral Competition and the Treble Choir State Champions. This state award is the cherry on top of what has been a wonderful year of competitions for the choral, resulting in big wins at several regional competitions. So they have had several wins, so I'm just going to go over for you all of their wins. But this is both the Cobra Chorale and the Ladies Honors Choir. They have the Palmetto State Choral Competition, Choral First in Division 6 Mixed. They were the overall grand champions. For the Ladies Honors Choir, they were first in Division 5 treble choirs and 5th place overall. The Cobra Chorale performed a featured concert for the SCACDA Fall Conference opening concert in Charleston, South Carolina in October and in February. The Ladies Honor Choir performed a featured concert at the SCNEA State In-Service Conference for all the music educators of South Carolina. They've been a part of the Georgia Southern Invitational. Cobra Chorale placed first in mixed choirs and overall grand champions. They participated in the Lander Choral Festival. The Ladies Honor Choir received a superior rating, Best Repertoire Award, Best Soprano Section A Award, or Section Award, and were the treble choir champions. Again, they also have been the Palmetto State Choral Competition, where the Cobra Chorale was first in the Division 6 mixed and overall grand champions. The ladies were first in Division 5 treble choirs and placed 5th place overall. They also have had a number of performances with the Rotary performance, 2 performances in Y102.5 Christmas Live. They have had 4 selected for the All Carolina Select Choir, 29 for the All County Chorus, 21 members for the SCACDA Honor Choir in 2018 and 17 in 2019. They also had 5 who participated in the National ACDA Honors Choir, 26 in the All-State Choir. The JAX Sings Honor Choir, they had 16 participants. The SCMEA CPA, 3 choirs performed, 1 superior rating and 2 superior with distinction ratings, 9 superior ratings and 2 excellent ratings at the SCMEA Solo and Ensemble Festival. Also, the Vertical Concert, they performed almost 400 students from 4th grade to 12th grade performed. So with that, please join me in congratulating these outstanding students who have had a very dominant year.
All eyes on me. I think I got everybody. 3, 2, 1. Perfect.
Moms and dads, family, parents.
Hey, come on up for pictures if y'all want to get some.
I know they're holding the hardware, but you did a lot of hard work too. There we go.
Come on, Tim.
You know you don't get to miss the photo op.
Katie's reading that photo.
Kid right by.
He wanted to be in the picture.
We know you guys have somewhere to be, so we appreciate what you do. You are wonderful, and you have amazing talent and an amazing program, but we know you have awards. So if you just want to keep walking right out the door, we completely understand. Please be safe.
Yes, I just want to say real quick, thank you for having us out and recognizing us in this way. I would add to that we were also recently notified that we were selected to perform at the ACDA Regional Conference. So ACDA has 3 levels, the state, regional, and national. And the regional is out of 12 states in the Southern Division. They choose 4 high school choirs from across the region to perform, and we were selected for next year to perform in Mobile, Alabama. So we'll be traveling down there to represent Berkeley County and the state at that conference as well. So we're very excited about it. So thank you for all your support.
Thank you.
Thank you so much to Cane Bay. All right. right, for our next recognition, history was made at Phillips Simmons High this spring as the school won its first team athletic state title. The Iron Horse tennis team captured the South Carolina High School League's Class AA state championship earlier this month after dominating an undefeated St. Joseph's team from Greenville, 6-0. What's more, senior Iron Horse, Coy Simon, went on to win the individual state title and is currently the top-ranked player in the South, according to U.S. Tennis Association. We would like to take this time to congratulate Coy, his teammates, and everyone at Phillips Simmons. History has not only been made at Phillips Simmons, but it has been made in a dominant fashion. The players could not join us tonight. They are all over the state competing for nationals. But their tennis coach is here, Mr. Breon Packett is here, and they're going to come up and be recognized on their behalf.
Congratulations.
The short part can't go in the I'll get them now.
Everybody, curve this way slightly for me. 3, 2, 1.
I would like to say, if you're a Gamecock fan, Coy Simon is in the national tournament in Little Rock, Arkansas right now. He plays in the 18 and under bracket. In the semifinals, he beat one of the top players for the University of South Carolina, who's redshirting, in a third set tiebreaker yesterday. And Coy's a 17-year-old junior.
We will bring them all back when they are done.
Everybody's coming back. Yes.
All right.
Okay, for our next recognition, we have Miss Lauren James, who is from Berkeley Center for the Arts, housed on Goose Creek High School's campus. Nearly 340,000 pieces of writing and art were submitted to the Scholastic Art and Writing National Competition this year. Of those, fewer than 1% were recognized with a gold medal, the competition's highest award. Berkeley Center for the Arts creative writing student Lauren James has one of those gold medals. Lauren, a junior at BCA on the campus of Goose Creek High, submitted a poem titled "To Be Purely Happy." It's a poem about her best friend. Lauren will walk the stage at Carnegie Hall in New York City over the summer at the Scholastic Art and Writing National Ceremony to receive her award. She is the 5th BCA creative writing student to earn a national gold key and one of 10 BCA creative writing students recently awarded regional gold keys via the Scholastic Art and Writing competition. Congratulations to Lauren.
3, 2, 1.
And her principal and her teacher.
I was going to say, who's here? Come on, get in. I was going to say, come on, Mom. Is Mom here? Come on.
I'll get on the second row.
You want me to take the cell phone? It's okay.
Cindy works with me.
It just makes you feel tall. Yes.
Good job. Congratulations. You should be. Very good.
Congratulations, Lauren. That actually concludes our legacy builders tonight. We were going to recognize our new Teacher of the Year, Mr. Thomas Mignon, but he is with his wife because they will very soon have a new baby to welcome. So he needed to be with her tonight instead of with us. So we wish them the best of luck, but he will soon be celebrating the birth of his child. So we will bring him back soon. But congratulations to all the students, and thank you.
Katie. Item agenda number 5A, citizen comments. I don't have any citizen comments. We'll now move on to agenda item 6A, action as required from executive session.
Madam Chair, in the matter of students 1, 2, and 3 for the attendance appeals, I move that we grant the appeals.
Second.
There's a motion from Mr. McQuillan, a second from Mr. Ramsey to grant the appeal of students 1, 2, and 3. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay.
Nay.
The ayes have it. Student number 4.
Madam Chair, in the matter of student number 4, I move that we grant the attendance appeal.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. McQuillan, a second by Mr. Ramsey to grant the appeal of student number 4. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay.
Nay.
The ayes have it. Student number 5.
Madam Chair, in the matter of student number 5, I move that we grant the attendance appeal.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. McQuillan, a second by Ms. Conder to grant the appeal of student number 5. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay.
Nay.
The ayes have it. Student number 6.
Madam Chair, I move that we grant the attendance appeal of student number 6.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. McQuillan, a second by Ms. Littleton to grant the appeal of student number 6. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay.
Nay.
The ayes have it. Student number 7.
Madam Chair, in the matter of student number 7, I move that we grant the attendance appeal.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. McQuillan, a second by Ms. Littleton to grant the appeal of student number 7. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay.
Nay.
The ayes have it. Student number 8.
Madam Chair, in the matters of students numbers 8 and 9, I move that we deny the appeals.
Second.
Sorry, I missed my notes. 8 and 9 will be heard together. In this matter of students number 8 and 9, there's a motion to deny the appeal by Mr. McQuillan, a second by Mr. Barrow. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Student number 10.
I move that we deny the appeal, student number 10.
Second.
There's a motion by Reverend Spann, a second by Mr. Barrow to deny the appeal of student number 10. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Nay.
The motion is defeated. Is there another motion for student number 10?
Madam Chair, I move that we approve the appeal.
Second.
There's a motion by Ms. Conder, a second by Mr. McQuillan to grant the appeal of student number 10. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Nay.
The ayes have it. Student number 11.
Madam Chair, I move that we grant the appeal of student number 11.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. McQuillan, a second. Who took the second? Mr. Ramsey. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Nay.
The ayes have it. Now for expulsion appeals, we'll hear student number 1.
Madam Chair, I move that we deny the appeal.
Second.
There's a motion by Ms. Conder, a second by Mr. Barrow to deny the expulsion appeal of student number 1. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Student number 2.
Madam Chair, in the matter of student number 2, I move that we grant the expulsion appeal and allow the child to finish the year at the virtual school.
Second. There's a motion by Mr. McQuillan, a second by Wofford, to grant the appeal and assign the student to virtual school. Is there any additional discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Nay.
The ayes have it. Student number 3.
Madam Chair, I move that we deny the appeal.
Second.
There was a motion by Mr. McQuillan, A second, or jumping, a second by Reverend Spann, or Ms. Conder, who had the second?
Reverend Spann.
Reverend Spann. All right. The motion is to deny the appeal, uphold the expulsion for student number 3. Motion by McQuillan, second by Reverend Spann. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay.
Nay.
The ayes have it. Student number 4.
Madam Chair, I move that we deny the appeal, student number 4.
Second.
There's a motion by Reverend Spann. A second by Ms. Conder. To deny the appeal of student number 4, is there any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Nay.
The ayes have it. Student number 5.
Madam Chair, I move that we deny the appeal for student
Second.
number 5.
There's a motion by Ms. Conder, a second by Mr. Ramsey to deny the appeal of student number 4. Is there any further discussion? I'm sorry. It's the
Student
same
number
thing,
5.
but I'm reading the wrong thing. So we are hearing student number 5. The motion is to deny the appeal. The motion was made by Ms. Conder. It was second by Mr. Ramsey. I haven't heard any additional discussion, so we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay.
Nay.
The ayes have it. Is there any additional action needed from executive session? Hearing none, we'll move on to the committee reports. We'll start with Agenda Item 7, which is Academics and Innovation Committee Report. Chairwoman Ann Conder, you are recognized.
You just don't give me any time.
I'm sorry. Hustle, team, hustle. It's May. We're kind of
Yeah, I hear you.
the busiest month of the year.
Okay. All right, Madam Chairman, the Committee on Academics and Innovation met on May 14th, 2019. A recommendation of the committee, I move to approve the Head Start Budget Expenditures Report for March 2019, Head Start Credit Card Report for March 2019, and the 2019-2020 Head Start Instructional Calendars.
We have a recommendation from committee. No second is required. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it.
Madam Chairman, also on recommendation of the committee, I move to approve the administration's recommendation to begin a 3-year pilot in the 2019-2020 school year of competency-based education in Westview Primary and Westview Elementary Schools.
We have a recommendation from committee. No second is required. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it.
Madam Chairman, that concludes my report.
Next up is Chairman Mac McQuillan for the Committee on Facilities and Capital Planning.
Madam Chairwoman, the Committee on Facilities and Capital Planning met on May 14th, 2019, and earlier this evening. On recommendation of the committee, I move to name the press box at Berkeley High School the Jim Rozier Press Box.
We have a recommendation from committee. No second is required. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it.
Also, on recommendation of the committee, I move to name the new tennis complex at Berkeley High School the Joe Harnage Tennis Complex.
We have a recommendation from committee. No second is required. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it.
Also, on recommendation of the committee, I move to approve 5 athletic field surface maintenance projects as recommended by administration.
We have a recommendation from committee. No second is required. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it.
Also, on recommendation of the committee, I move to approve first reading of the adjustment to the attendance lines as presented with changes to take effect for the 2019-2020 school year.
We have a recommendation from committee. No second is required. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it.
Madam Chairwoman, that concludes my report.
Next is the Committee on Finance and Human Resources, Chairman Michael Ramsey.
Madam Chairwoman, the Committee on Finance and Human Resources met on May the 14th, 2019, and earlier this evening. On recommendation of the committee, I move to approve second reading to adopt policy GBEEB, crowdfunding as presented.
We have a recommendation from committee. No second is required. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it.
Also on recommendation of the committee, I move to approve first reading to adopt policy DIDA, internal audit, rule DIDAR, internal audit, exhibit IFCB-E, 2 overnight out-of-state field study, and GBCB, electronic timekeeping as presented.
We have a recommendation from committee. No second is required. Is there any further discussion?
Yes, Madam Chair. I'm not sure if the board actually read the entire proposed policy on electronic timekeeping. I have very serious concerns about this policy. There are a lot of unanswered questions. I would like to know actually the origin of this policy, who wrote the policy. Did the employees of the district have any input into this? And I foresee very serious concerns coming out of this if this is adopted and approved in the first and second reading. I would actually like to table this if the employees of the school district did not have any input or collaboration into this. I think it will be viewed as very negative and punitive. I've got some very serious concerns about it, and as it's written, I cannot support this.
Can you tell me what specific provisions of the policy cause you great concern?
Well, there are quite a few. There are lots of, for example, it talks about exempt and non-exempt employees, but it doesn't define who is exempt and who isn't. You can infer that the exempt employees are certified staff, but you would be implying or inferring that because it's not stipulated. Policies are made to clarify and to make sure of the intent of a particular systematic approach to any particular topic. As one is as sensitive as clocking in and clocking out, I want to know who's exempt and who isn't. There are also, and I realize that it talks about clocking in within a 7-minute period and clocking out within a 7-minute period. I mean, where did we come up with this 7-minute business? There are lots of questions, and I don't know if you've read it or not. It seems like this was, I don't want to use the term hidden, but I had to look through this and find this policy and read it for myself. And there are lots of questions, Mac. For example, all certified school staff, with the exception of classroom teachers with direct lunch duties, are allowed 30 minutes for lunch. Principals are allowed 30 minutes for lunch, but school administrators, which I assume principals are allowed 60 minutes. But they have to sign it or clock in and clock out. If you're a secretary in a school, you're allowed 30 minutes for lunch. But during that time frame of the school day, you've got to clock out for lunch and clock back in after 30 minutes. That's crazy. That is insane. That's my opinion. So I'd like to know the origin of this. Did we copy this from another school district? Did we actually research this? Did we do a Q&A with our faculty and staff or our principals? Or did we just make something up on the go? I would suggest very strongly that we take a look at this before we even consider the first reading, because I think we're going to run up against an obstacle. Look just, if you will, at the consequences of a person who does not comply for whatever reason, because the principal is going to be required to submit reports to HR for any employee that violates the policy, and the principal is going to have to discipline that employee 3 separate times with documentation, so the principals don't have enough to do already. So we're going to add this to their workload, and we're going to require our certified and classified staff. Now, I realize, I think that the teachers are exempt, but they're still required to clock in and out. But it also stipulates that non-exempt personnel have to work within the confines of the school day. Okay, a school secretary comes in at 8 and leaves at 4. There are consequences for an employee who does any work at home. So a head secretary goes home at 4 o'clock. Oh, but she gets a phone call from the principal, or has to address an email, or has to go to Kelly Services for perhaps a substitute for the next day. No, I'm sorry, that's a violation of the policy. You can't do any work at home if you're a clerical staff. When you sign in at 8, you sign out for your lunch period of 30 minutes. You sign back in after that 30 minutes, and then when you sign out at 4 o'clock, not 4:09, 4 o'clock to 4:07, which is the allowed period of time, you can't take any work home with you. Well, what happened to the fact that Berkeley County employees actually wanted to do some work on their own without compensation? There are employees all over this district.
I don't think that's legal, Mr. Barrow. I manage exempt and non-exempt employees, and maybe we do need to bring Brandon back. I have a different perspective of time and timekeeping because I'm in the private sector. Maybe it's different for public, I don't know. But if you have an employee who you're required to pay overtime to, if they do work, you're obligated to them. And there isn't taking work home or doing extra work. If they work, we're obligated to pay them. That's the right thing to do. If they are an employee that is entitled to overtime, then we should keep up with that, and we can't take that beyond their regular work day without compensating them appropriately. So I don't feel like that is against the employee. I feel like that's for the employee, that we're not going to require one thing from them that we don't appropriately and follow the law and pay for them. A lot of these things, I believe, is based on labor law. I can't tell you the origin. I can't tell you who wrote it. I did not read it. I absolutely read it because that's my job, to sit here and read it. So I don't appreciate you questioning if we did our homework.
I didn't question you. I asked if you did.
You act like you're the only one who cares about this.
I didn't stipulate that nobody read it. I didn't accuse anybody.
You asked 3 times if we read it or not, and we did read it. We do not always have the same opinion.
You can't speak for the other board members, Madam Chair. You can speak for yourself.
I can speak for myself, and I read it. And I don't appreciate you questioning if I did my work before I showed up here.
I did not question that.
You absolutely did. But we're going to take that and put it onto the side and try to move on from here, which is to try to decide what we're going to do next. Dr. Whitley, I'd like to invite you to the podium because a bunch of rambling doesn't help, asking questions and getting answers.
That's not rambling. I was asked what my concerns are. And those are, Mr. McQuillan asked me my concerns, and I specifically stated my concerns. And I have another question. Have the principals of this school district been made aware of this before it's come to the board?
Ask the question.
I'd like to answer that, an answer to that.
Okay, the electronic timekeeping policy, the things addressed in there are based on the Fair Labor Standards Act. And I can just say from working at the district for me, when I came up here in 2004, an auditor met with me in 2004 and asked me what I was doing at the school level. And he very specifically said to me that our folks who are hourly employees cannot work outside the time that they're supposed to be working, that they should not be taking things home, and they should not be in a building working off the clock. So a lot of what's in here is just best practice according to the Fair Labor Standards. I know that, and I can tell you that the time I've been up here was been a year and a half. I have had folks who have sent me papers where they've kept time that they were not given credit for that was on their timesheet, that we've spent a lot of time going back and having to repay them. So I think it's really a good practice that we have.
So if clerical staff has additional work, say this time of year is extremely busy and we have additional work, the principal can approve overtime and give times for that overtime to be worked?
Absolutely. Overtime can be worked by a classified if they get permission. If the money's coming from the general fund, then they email either Ashley or myself. But, daycare, other soft monies that they have, they can absolutely.
So has this been reviewed other than at the district office level?
This document has not, but the things that are included in this document are things that are in practice in the school. Going back to the statement about the secretary coming in and clocking out for 30 minutes and then for lunch, and then she clocks back in. What the secretaries should be doing right now, what any classified person should be doing right now, is signing in on that piece of paper when they come in on the sign-in sheet. When they take their lunch break, they are to sign out. When they get back from their lunch break, they sign in, and then they sign out when they go home. We have to show that we're giving our folks lunch. If they're not signing in and signing out, we have no documentation that they're having lunch.
And is it my understanding that the 7 minutes is a Cronus issue? The 7 minutes on either side. I clock in and out of Cronus. Well, I don't, but my staff does. And the 7 minutes is a Cronus issue. It automatically goes up the next quarter hour if it's before or after.
Right, that 7 minutes before, 7 minutes after will all go to if it's 8 o'clock. And one of the things is when you have a lot of people coming in to clock in, everybody cannot clock in at exactly 8 o'clock. So that's the leeway there.
So was it recommended that we have a discipline process for not following timekeeping?
We did some research and researched other policies in different states, and that was one of the things that one of them had in there was the discipline. One of the things I think is really important is, we have a time clock at the school district now. We're supposed to clock in, we're supposed to clock out. It's not going to go live until July 1st. I've been working hard at remembering to clock in, remembering to clock out. On my steering wheel, I have a Post-it note that says, "Have you clocked out?" So often I get in my car and then I have to get back out and go clock out. So I'm hoping by July I will have done it enough times it becomes a habit. But we see, and I've seen several instances since I've been up here, there have been several this year, of folks who sort of got lost in the cracks. They just hadn't been to work since September, and we're still paying them. I mean, this time clock is accountability for all of us.
I would just add, Madam Chair, that I'm not exempt. I have to clock in as well. Now, so far it hasn't recognized my badge, but we'll work that out. But I'm expected to clock in as well, and I'm the CEO of the district.
So we moved this up because Cronus is going to now be active July 1.
We're looking to go live July 1.
So we're
Yes.
trying to have a policy in place when the system goes live.
Right. And the reason it was not taken the first meeting was not that anyone was trying to hide anything. It was at that point there was some discussion as to whether we were going to be able to go forward. The decision was made to pull it, but then we realized we're going to be able to go forward with Cronus. We wanted to make sure we got this on. And I'm not saying this is picture perfect. I think this is a baseline. This is where we need to start. And certainly we're open.
So if this passes tonight, it will come back through committee in June, and final reading would be the last meeting in June just prior to. So we'll hear this 2 more times before it's passed. So this is discussion number 2. There'll be a discussion number 3 and a discussion number 4 before it passes.
Still haven't answered my question about was there an effort to get a committee of the elementary, middle, and high school representatives to really work through some of these scenarios and what-ifs and possibilities and definitely discuss this and come up with some viable alternatives? Or was this just something that was pieced together from other policies from other places? It seems to me, and I've said this a couple of times, you get more things done when you involve people, and leadership can be top-down or it can be bottom-up. This is all top-down, guys. We haven't discussed this with our people. We haven't asked them their opinion. We haven't done that, and I've asked, who wrote this? Is there a committee that signed off on this? Have the principals and the employees even seen this before yesterday afternoon? I don't think so.
Has this been discussed at a principals meeting?
We have talked about the timekeeping. We've talked about it. We've talked about things that are contained in this, but they have not seen this piece of paper. One of the things I would offer is, prior to my coming into this position, prior to Ashley coming in her position, there was a contract signed that we were going to do Cronus and Munis. So all of this was put into place as far as the Cronus. I've just come in and picked up what was put into place prior to my coming on board. And I think Ms. Smith has done the same.
This has been on the table, for about a year? I think we started talking about Cronus a year ago. Mm-hmm. So there's been ample opportunity for principals and employees to visit the website, review some of the things that we discussed. I don't think this is something that we have to form committees over and whatnot. I just don't think that it would be conducive, because you've got to have a system. You've got to have a system, whether it's signing in or whether it's clocking in. It doesn't matter. You have to know who is in the school, when they're in the school. You have to keep track of people's time, because we're required by federal law to do this, whether we use Cronus, sign-in sheets, or whatever. This is more conducive to keeping more accurate records than it is signing in and signing out. And I think having a policy where we mandate that people have to do this, and there are going to be consequences if they don't. Where I work, I have to clock in. And if I don't, I'm reprimanded. And that's the bottom line. And I'm a mental health counselor at a hospital. So, I don't see what is so offensive about clocking in and clocking out.
One of the things I would talk about that Mr. Barrett talked about, adding additional things to a principal's plate. I was in a principal role a year and a half ago, and my classified folks filled out a timesheet every week. It was my responsibility on Monday to go through those timesheets, look at the folks to ensure that they had worked the X amount of hours they were supposed to. If there was any overtime work that they were not supposed to have worked, then it was my responsibility to bring them in, give them a verbal warning. If they continued to work overtime without permission, then my responsibility was to give them a written warning. It's a lot of this in here isn't new practices for a lot of folks. It's just a matter of a different way of doing things. Instead of having on paper and pencil, it's going to be electronic.
Right, and it's more efficient, and it helps the bookkeeping process as well. I'm very much aware of that. So, you know, the issues, and yes, Mr. Barrow, I read the policy too, and I feel very strongly that you know, insulting your fellow board members is not appropriate. But I feel very strongly about this, and I think we need to go ahead and table the discussion and go ahead and make the motion and do what we need to do.
Is there when's the next principals meeting?
That was my exact question. I was like, can we, involve them in that? And I did read it. And, of course we want their input, so.
I feel like just from the 5-on-5s that I've read, Cronus has been in there. I thought it had been covered more than once in a principals meeting. I don't attend principals meetings, so I can't tell you for sure that it was covered there, but I believe it was covered there. Or the design team. Is the design team available to give input between first this reading and the next committee meeting on the policy?
We're meeting the HR Finance Committee. We have representatives from every level, and we've met all year, and we've called a meeting in June. I think it's maybe it's the second week of June.
Is it prior to our next committee meeting? Maybe.
I think it is, just in my head, but I will make sure that it is, and this will be something else we would review, because we were going to review the format of the principals meeting, but I can certainly talk with folks about that. But I do want to assure you that coming from the seat of a principal, a lot of this is just a different way of doing business.
Well, I just want to speak to the fact that the reports that this will put out will make the principal's job a dream.
Yes.
I have to review all my staff's time on a regular basis, once a week, and it just tells me. I open the report, it just tells me. There's no adding up, there's no questions, it's just very, very clear.
Very much more streamlined.
Do we have any examples of what the reports out of Cronus look like that would support the process? Do we have any example reports?
I am meeting with a lady, one of the consultants, Tara, next week, and I will get some reports. In fact, when I get them, would you like for me to send them to all of you by email so that you'll see?
I think that would be great. I know how I approve time and overtime and what I do with unapproved overtime. This policy read like a lot of things that I would do in my current position. I've never really kept time signing in or signing out. It's always been badged, and then we check behind it with a paper timesheet. So my perspective, Mr. Barrow, is different than having been a principal and having the sign-in sheet. So, everybody brings something different to the table. So I think helping see those reports would be good. Getting feedback from the committee would be good. Is there anybody else that it would be helpful to get feedback from before we go?
I would suggest that each one of us take 10 minutes in the next day or two after this becomes public, and principals and employees have a chance to actually read it and digest it, for us to actually speak individually with principals from our particular districts, to actually get some feedback from them directly. Don't take it from me, although I was a building level principal for many years. They are the ones that are living this policy. They're the ones that we need to ask, what if.
I just am more comfortable for that feedback to come through staff, because I don't like for principals to feel like that I'm putting them on the spot with the school board. So, I mean,
Well, you're wrong. You're right. I have a different opinion on that, because I'm very close to many principals, and they share views with me. And I would hope that they would be honest with the other board members as well. I'm not saying that they would necessarily deride this, but when it comes to us as a board, and we are made aware that the principals and the employees of this district haven't had the foundation of establishing a rapport with the district in terms of molding this policy, it's just come to them at a board meeting, and we on first reading are going to very likely approve it, but it's just not my way of doing business, because I think we need to involve people from the bottom up, not from the top down.
well, I mean, we have worked into the process that it's going to be a month before this is approved. So we're not approving this tonight and they're clocking in tomorrow. And we often change from reading one point to the committee meeting to after that. But I don't think that Cronus is a surprise, or that a policy to go with Cronus is a surprise. I hope that it is not. I know there are some people who are upset about it, who have been since the time that we bid on it, who have been since the time that we started talking about the implementation of it. Last April. So I do know that this is going to be a painful change. And although we have to have policies, I don't, and maybe I'm wrong and I give us too much credit, I don't think anybody is going to start on July 1 as this being a big stick to knock somebody over the head. But I do think over time, if there is an employee issue, this will be documented information to be able to help us manage if we do have employees that are working unapproved overtime or not where they're supposed to be when they're supposed to be there.
May I make one more just statement? At the school level, as a principal, if you've got a person who is, for example, I was at an elementary school, they may be a kindergarten assistant, so those hours, and then they may be daycare. So there was always that someone had to manually figure how many hours at straight time, how many, time and a half, which accounts it all came out of. All of that is going to be very automatic, that when the person signs in, then they're going to, if it's for their kindergarten assistant job, then they're going to
Have a code.
They're going to be able to touch that one and sign in, then they'll sign out. Then when they go to daycare, they'll sign in and they'll do the daycare. So that, I think, is going to be a real time saver on our bookkeepers who are figuring it up, and then also principals who check behind folks because they're putting their name on the line. So I think that'll be very beneficial.
And your background as a principal is very helpful, because it's giving a perspective on this that is going to make the principals' lives a whole lot easier, a lot less demanding of their time, and checking time sheets and figuring time cards and all that kind of stuff. So I could see where it would be extremely beneficial for the principals, and I don't understand any principal, and I will say this, and I hope I don't offend any of our principals, but I don't understand a principal who would not welcome this system. So that's my opinion.
Any other questions for Dr. Whitley? Ms. Smith?
For the record, I did read the policy.
Thank you.
We taking attendance. I lost track. All right, so the motion that was on the table was, there are multiple policies in this. So it's policy DID-A, internal audit, rule DID-A-R, internal audit, exhibit IFCBE, 2, overnight out-of-state field study, and GBCB, electronic timekeeping, as presented. I would like to say, I assume that our labor attorney has reviewed this, but can we also get a legal review if we haven't done so? I feel like he normally reviews our policies.
Right. Yes, we have had a legal review.
Okay, excellent. All right, so that's the recommendation from committee. We have had, there's no second required. We've had healthy discussion. So this is the first reading. It will go through committee, first meeting in June. It will come back for final approval the second meeting in June. I know lots of people watch the video, so if you're so urged and have an opinion on this policy, please feel free to email us or email Dr. Whitley so we can have input in this next couple of weeks. You're going to send us reports, and we're also going to get input from the finance committee, which
Finance HR Advisory Committee.
Finance HR Advisory Committee that has all levels of principal represented. All in favor, please.
Madam Chair, can we separate these policies? Because I have no issues with the other ones, but I'm not going to support this one.
I think you have to make a motion to split it, and then you have to vote to split it, and then you have to come back and vote on them individually. So you got a motion?
Yes, ma'am. I'd make a motion that we separate the individual policies so that each one will have a separate vote.
Friendly amendment to that motion, which I'm not going to vote for, but to just separate out the GBCB electronic timekeeping policy from the other ones, as opposed to voting on the other 4 or 5.
That'll be great. Thank you.
Is that a second?
That's not a second. That's just his motion.
All right, so the motion is to separate GBCB electronic timekeeping from the other part of the motion. I have a motion, but I don't have a second.
Second.
Can't second your own motion.
I didn't make the motion when Ms. McQuillan made the motion.
I was just clarifying your motion.
Okay. I thought you made an amendment to my motion. It's okay.
All right, so we're back to the original. There wasn't a second to support the motion, so we're back to the original, which is all of the policies together, including GBCB electronic timekeeping. All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Nay.
The ayes have it. Mr. Ramsey.
Thank you, Dr. Whitley. Also, on recommendation of the committee, I move to approve the first reading for revision to Rule IFCB-R Field Study, Exhibit IFCB-E1, Request for Field Study, Policy JCD-AAAA, and Rule JD-AAAA-R, Harassment, Intimidation, or Bullying, Rule JDD-R, Student Suspension, Rule JDE-R, Student Expulsions, Rule JICDA-R, Student Behavior Code, and Rule IDA-R, Grading Assessment as presented.
We have a recommendation from committee. No second is required. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it.
Also, on recommendation of the committee, I move to approve the out-of-state travel request as presented.
I have a recommendation from committee. No second is required. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it.
Also, on recommendation of the committee, I move to approve first reading of the general budget for 2019-2020.
We have a recommendation from committee. No second is required. Is there any further discussion?
Yes, Madam Chair. I'd like to revisit a question I had from Ms. Smith the last time. It was on the 59 additional allocations, which I fully support, by the way, because I think we certainly need to fund additional allocations when the attendance projections indicate that we're going to have an increase. But I did a little bit of research, and I asked, because I divided out the 59 allocations into the projected revenue to support that, and that was $84,600 per teacher. And I questioned you about that, Ms. Smith, and you said that the average teacher salary in Berkeley County was $62,000. And in addition to that, the benefits added up to $84,600. I'm not disputing that, but the South Carolina Department of Education report card for Berkeley County 2017-2018 indicated that the average teacher salary was $49,100 instead of $62,000. So I think we're allocating too much for these 59 positions, particularly in light of the fact that we're dealing with average teacher salaries, and with 59 new positions, I would say many of these, maybe even half of these, may be new teachers. They come in at maybe $36,000 plus fringe. So I think we may have over exercised our budgetary requisite here, because we've allocated $4,991,000, and I think we could save over $1 million if we actually looked at the teacher salary, the average teacher salary from the Berkeley County School Report Card. And also, just remember, that's an average of the teachers in the district, 49,000. And I realize there was probably a 4 to 8% raise, but we're not hiring an average 49,000. We're probably hiring an average teacher who's coming in $36,000, $42,000, something like that. But we also, if you recall, did not fill all of the allocations last year, and we had more money than we allocated. So out of the 59 positions, I hope we hire all of them, but it's not likely that we will. So all I'm saying to you is that there are several reasons why I think this may have been a disproportionate amount of money for the 59 teachers. So I think we might want to retake a look at this and maybe save some money, because I think we were pulling about $1.6 million out of the general fund, or the surplus fund for this. We could probably cut $1 million and still have money left over.
So when I budget for employees, I budget the salary plus 75% for PB&Ts. Is it salary? Is that what, are we budgeting salary plus an additional 75% for PB&Ts? So that is $86,650. So I don't know. That's how I would budget it, but is that how you budgeted it? So $49,100, then plus an additional. So you're saying that number is overestimated, Mr. Barrow, the $49,000.
I don't ever recall, and I did allocations for years. I allocated based upon $55,000, but that was 20 years ago. So I'm thinking if you allocate $65,000, that's more than enough. But I don't ever recall having 75% of a teacher's salary in benefits. I would say maybe 25 to 30, but not 75.
Pensions, benefits, and taxes. You have to.
Well.
Huh? And health insurance. So health insurance is $8,000 per employee. Can you give us an example of a $50,000 employee and what the district pays out on that $50,000 employee? Yes, ma'am. That makes it about $85,925 for $49,100. Dr. Whitley, when we hire teachers, do we normally hire first-year teachers, or is there any way to, how do we plan? I mean, do we look for teachers with more experience? Is there a range that we're looking for when we're hiring, or is it just up to the principal?
This year, we got a quicker jump on it because our allocation loan was in place, the earlier through us in the summertime. So we started hiring much earlier this year, and certainly our goal is to have as many of those positions filled as possible.
So if we did over allocate $1 million or $1.5 million, or we don't get everything filled, the money just stays in the, we're estimated to be over, so that money would just stay in the fund balance. So if you're wrong, the money stays in the fund balance.
I'd rather overestimate than underestimate, and I think your numbers are pretty accurate, Ms. Smith, so.
It would be helpful to get that example, though, just so we can see, because that's what salaries are one thing, but all the benefits, taxes, health insurance, that stuff adds up quickly.
Yeah.
Any other budget questions? Budget questions. All right. Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it.
Also on recommendation of the committee, I move to approve first reading of the 2019-2020 supply and travel allocation formulas as presented.
We have a recommendation from committee. No second is required. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Also on recommendation of the committee, I move to approve reallocation of the 2018-2019 capital budget as recommended by committee.
We have a recommendation from committee. No second is required. Is there any additional discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it.
Also on recommendation of the committee, I move to grant principals the authority to spend the 2018-2019 available balance as of June the 30th, 2019 in the general fund supply accounts in the first 60 days of the 2019-2020 fiscal year.
We have a recommendation from committee. No second is required. Is there any further discussion?
Just a question. Ms. Smith, I realize this Munis thing has taken up time and energy, and the principals have made a diligent effort to try to input everything into the system. Is there an estimate at this point that, maybe not a school-wide estimate, but a district-wide estimate as how much money would be left at their discretion at the end of this year for the next fiscal year within that 60 days? Okay, I think it's a great thing for us to do as a principal. They are very hesitant when they don't know how much money they have to spend it, obviously. So if a principal's got $15,000, $20,000 left in their account from this year, and the first 60 days of next year, they can actually use that as well as the allotted funding for the next year. That's a plus. That's a win-win there, and I applaud you for doing that.
I do appreciate it. I know Munis has been very difficult on our folks. Finance and school level folks has been very stressful, so I appreciate the work that's been done. We certainly haven't been sitting on our heels, but I know lots of work has happened at the school level as well, so I feel like this is a huge bonus for folks to not lose any money that they had allocated for this year, so I appreciate it. Any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it.
Madam Chairwoman, that concludes my report.
Next up, we have the superintendent's report.
Yes, as first order of business, board members, we would ask that you take a look in your packets. I don't know if we have it on the screen or not. The board meeting dates for next year, we presented them last board meeting for first reading. We would ask you to approve them for second reading, if you would. July 9th is a tentative workshop date, as we do every year, and July 23rd, and then they alternate the second and fourth Mondays of the months. We do have 2 school meetings scheduled, as you'll notice. Historically, we take off, we just have 1 meeting over the holiday period, November and December. We're only required to have 1 meeting a month, but we have 2, which I think is a great practice, by the way. Get a lot more done in 2 meetings.
This time, I'd like to make a motion to approve the 2019-2020 board meeting dates for second and final reading as presented.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. McQuillan, a second by Ms. Conder. Is there any discussion about the board meeting dates or school meetings? Excuse me. Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it.
Madam Chair, my report for tonight is this week and next are our most exciting times for any school system. We have graduations starting this week, actually. So if you'll bear with me, I'll go through them very briefly for the audience and for you. We've been giving you these dates for quite some time now, and I believe you do have a parking pass in your packet tonight. If you don't, let me know. We'll make sure you get one. This Thursday, we start off with Berkeley Middle College. They will be graduating at Berkeley High School at 7 p.m. this Thursday. Then on Saturday, June 1st, we have Stratford at 10 a.m., Timberland at 2 p.m., and Cane Bay High at 6 p.m. No graduations on Sunday. Monday night, we have 1 graduation. That's Cross High School at Cross High School, 7 p.m. Then Tuesday, June 4th, we complete our visit to the Coliseum by having Hanahan High at 11:30 a.m., Goose Creek High 3:30 p.m., and finishing up with Berkeley High at 7:30 p.m. On Thursday, June 20th, we will have our adult education graduation at Cane Bay High, and then we will have a summer graduation service for summer graduates August 12th, and that will be at Stratford High School. We are in the process of reviewing principals' evaluations and conducting cabinet member evaluations this week and next, and I will be visiting various schools and thanking everyone for their hard work, wishing everyone a happy summer. Congratulations to our Teacher of the Year, Thomas Mignon, and the birth of his son, which I don't know if it's happened yet or not, but he was there today, so we'll welcome Thomas and little Thomas, or whoever's the name, I don't know the name, but into our family soon. And I would like to give a special thank you to Laura Kelly and members of her church, the Northward Church, who organized several hundred volunteers to clean the following schools this past Sunday: College Park Middle, Cane Bay Middle, Sangaree Middle, and Goose Creek Elementary. Sue and I participated in the event last Sunday at Goose Creek Elementary, and Sue and Laura's wonderful children graciously went behind me and cleaned up, because when I cleaned up, I'm sure I didn't get it right. But anyway, that was a lot of fun, and we thank Northwood Church for their service. Madam Chair, board members, audience, that concludes my report for the evening.
Next up is the board chair report. First is the nomination of a board member for the South Carolina School Board Association Officer Board of Directors.
I make a motion to nominate Michael Ramsey for an officer or director's position with the South Carolina School Board Association representing Region 3.
Second. There's a motion by Mr. McQuillan. I'll yield to Ms. Littleton. We've had so much going on at Berkeley County that it has been hard to get people to the School Board Association. Michael has graciously volunteered to do even more work, which I am very grateful for. there is value in collaborating and learning what other school boards are doing across the district, and I also think that there's some great things going on in Berkeley County for us to share, so we appreciate you giving up even more time to go serve. So if there's no further discussion, I'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Dr. Ingram just mentioned the best days of this job are coming up over the next week. I urge you to attend, if you can, at least a handful, or at least the schools that you represent. But there are lots of hardworking people across this district that plan graduations. So if you're planning to go to graduation, make sure they have you a chair at graduation. They know you're coming and can say your name. So please email Penny, Dr. Ingram, Katie, someone, and let them know where you plan to attend. So there's at least an idea of how many board members are there. And people so appreciate you coming and spending your time for graduation, so I really encourage you to do that. The other thing that we'll be thinking about here is a board retreat. We will be using the July date likely for a board retreat, so we'll be working on plans for that. So everybody please check your calendar for the July meeting date. It will likely be a longer meeting for us to do a board retreat, so just get on your calendar and look at that day. And let us know if you have any conflicts, because we're going to start scheduling board retreat for July. That is all I have, and now I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second, there's a motion by Mr. McQuillan, a second by Wofford. Is there any additional discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. We are adjourned.